Welcome to another episode of Hesse and Maven. I'm Justin.
I'm Raven.
And on this week's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff that we did this the week prior.
We had a very New York
moment.
Week and a half, yeah.
Several New York moments. We went to, I hate that wire's there. We went to New York Comic-Con. If you were listening to our previous episodes, Raven gifted me with an incredible surprise, very early birthday present. 2 tickets to New York Comic-Con. It included sort of a reservation for a panel where we got the chance to see the cast of both Critical Role and The Legend of Vox Machina. So that was super exciting. But we're going to get into all of the details. We're going to talk about the good things. We're going to talk about the bad things. We're going to give it a ranking system. And we want to hear from you guys. Have you been to a Comic-Con before? Have you been to multiple Comic-Cons? Where were they? What was your experience like? What panels did you see? Did you meet any particular sort of celebrities or actors that you were really interested in? Like, let us know your experience. I'd be very, very curious. I don't want to get into it too early, but suffice it to say, I think that it's one of those events that the more often you go, the better you get at it, because you have like a better understanding of what to expect.
Yeah, it's like the first time you go camping ever and you bring like 0% of the things you actually need.
Right.
And then the more you go camping, you learn like, we need to bring a filter to drink water, and we need to bring a pad to sleep on top of because the rocks and twigs hurt.
Right. Or like, we didn't bring enough firewood. Like we didn't realize how fast firewood goes. Hey, Jojo.
And the firewood of Comic-Con is deodorant.
Oh boy, we're going to get into all of that. But first I wanted to just touch on a couple of housekeeping things really quickly. So listen, if you only know us from the podcast and you're used to just listening to us on Spotify or Apple or Google or whatever else, we have videos now, guys.
Yeah.
We are on YouTube.
And
TikTok, where you can get some clips, even some clips before the video even comes out, or some audio clips before the podcast episode comes out. Although maybe not this particular episode, because we're recording it on Monday and it's being published tomorrow because we had a busy week.
We're busy bees.
We're busy bees this week. So yeah, the Comic-Con was Thursday, but then on Saturday and Sunday, I also went into the city. Not Manhattan this time, but I went into Queens to visit my old college friend, Josh. And it was fun, and it was fantastic, and it was like... If you hear a lot of sniffing, by the way, let me just interrupt myself. If you hear a bunch of sniffing and some snarling, the dogs are with us.
Yeah. As they always are.
As they always are, in spirit and in body and mind.
Yes.
But yeah, visiting Josh for me is always a recharge, it feels like. Some people you hang out with and they drain your battery. Some people you hang out with and they fill your battery back up. And Josh is one of those people. He's like a portable charger.
That's nice.
Very nice person, very kind, very giving, funny, quirky in a good way. Like, for example, so like in college, it's funny because I went to Josh's apartment in Flushing, Queens. And he lives with his wife, Amy, and they're both incredible people, and they're so cute together. And like, it's one of those like couples that you see and like, you're just like, oh, I like them. Yeah. They're cute. They're so cute. And they like mesh really well and kind of balance each other out, but also have like so many complementary factors or like similarities also, where they're both pretty like quirky. Like Amy was even telling me, she was like, yeah, like I was, when me and Josh were first kind of like dating and getting to know each other, I was worried that I was going to like be too weird for him. And then he out-weirded me. And I was like, yeah, that tracks.
That's good.
Because like if you meet Josh, for the first time, you're going to be like, oh, this is just like a super sweet guy who's like so nice and like an incredible listener.
Yeah.
And just a overall good person. But the more you get to know him and the more comfortable he starts to feel around you, that's when that quirkiness starts to rear its head. And like in college, sometimes we would go study together in the library. Very quiet. There's different floors of the library. Some floors are a little bit louder. Some floors are a little bit quieter. We would be studying and it would be pretty quiet. And Josh would do this thing where he would we're studying. It's all very quiet. And then all of a sudden, my head's down in like an organic chemistry book or something. And then all of a sudden, Josh would slowly start standing up and he would just go,
oh my God.
And it was like, Josh, what are you doing? Shut up.
Yeah.
And it was so embarrassing. And it was like, it's like there's like the like the hamster wheel kind of thing. It was like as if the hamster inside Josh's head was just like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Let's mix things up.
I would die.
We would go
in a quiet library.
It killed me a couple times. And then like even things like he would when we would work out together, he would walk up to the biggest guy there and he would recite a very specific line from a Tupac rap. And he would just walk up to the biggest guy there. And to give you if you don't know Josh, obviously, picture kind of like a Bruce Lee in terms of body. Like, so Josh isn't like, he's strong.
Yeah.
But he's not like bulky.
Right.
So Josh would walk up to the biggest guy there, huge, like one of those people that you're like, oh, they use steroids for sure. Just in terms of how they look. And he would walk right up to them and he would look them in the eye and he would go, I ain't a killer, but don't push me. Just like that. And I'm there and I'm just like, I don't even know that guy. I don't even know him. But it's one of those things in the moment, of course, I was like, oh my gosh, Josh, like just cut it out, man.
Yeah.
Let's just work out, dude. Like one of these days you're going to find the one guy who doesn't think it's funny.
Right.
But he never did. Every time he had a way of making it seem like it was just a joke. Like he could intrinsically what's the opposite of explicit? Implicitly show that it was a joke. So no one was offended. It was all just a fun laugh. And I'm sure that those people that he did that to went home and had a funny story to tell or something like that. Yeah. And now we have funny stories to tell all the time.
It's good.
But yeah, so went over there, saw Josh and Amy, and it was amazing. And first we had some really good Thai food because they live in Flushing, Queens. So it's kind of like Chinatown and K-Town. And I don't know where the borders of those kind of neighborhoods within Flushing is. But there's a pretty heavy Asian community there. And he brought me to and I've been there once before with Josh. I don't know if it was the same one, but it's kind of like a mall. And then you go down an escalator into a food court and it's packed with different Asian... It's a food court. So it's like a different restaurants. And I mean, we ended up getting Thai food. Right next to Thai food, the Thai food place was Sugar Tiger. It's like a bubble tea place. Okay. You would have loved it because they had like really interesting flavors. Okay. You know, like because I know you and me are similar when it comes to like certain things. Like when it comes to like ice cream places or dessert places, it's like, listen, I'm done with double chocolate fudge.
I know.
You know, vanilla swirl. It's like boring. Give me the lavender hibiscus or something. You know what I mean? Like, give me something cool. Give me the lychee with dragon fruit or whatever. And that's Sugar Tiger. Had that kind of stuff. Plus, it was a cool name. And they had a big tiger stuffed animal on the windowsill. It was really cool. But yeah, the Thai food was incredible. I got to have those. And I don't know the actual names of these dishes. But I let Josh and I are close enough to where I let Josh do all of the ordering. Mm-hmm. He looks at me. He says, it's like what movie is that from? It's like Aladdin, where he reaches his hand out to Jasmine. And he goes, "Do you trust me?" Mm. And I grab his hand every time, and I say, "Yes, I do trust you." And so we got 4 different dishes, and we were going to bring them back to the apartment and eat with Amy. We got Thai fried rice that had shrimp in it, and I don't know what makes it Thai fried rice as opposed to, I don't know, another culture's fried rice, but it was really good. Then we had a beef dish that had some greens on it, and I'm normally not like a sautéed green person, like for example, like spinach or bok choy or those kind of greens, like when they get kind of wilted. I'm usually not that person. I usually very much do not eat that.
Yeah.
It was good. And it had these pieces of beef in it that were like deceptively, like when you looked at them, you were like, okay, cool, beef, like no big deal. But then you ate it and it was like crispy. It was really interesting and really good. That was just served over rice. And then we had those fat noodles. Like the Italian equivalent, which is my reference point when it comes to pasta, would be like pappardelle.
Okay.
Is like those, like they're long noodles, but they're like almost an inch thick. I mean, they're thin, but they're like an inch wide.
Yeah.
And it was that, and that had some chicken on it and different sauces and some peppers and stuff, and that was incredible. It was my first time having that, and that was a dish that I'd seen before, and I really wanted it. Right. And then we tried to get papaya salad, but the papaya salad, they ran out of papaya, so we got mango salad. Mango salad was the star of that meal for me.
Yeah.
I was blown away. You know me, I'm not like a fruit person.
Yeah.
But mango salad is made with, like, you can tell there's like red onions in it and peanuts and some chilies, and then it has like some kind of vinaigrette. Like it has that like pungent vinegar, right? You know what I mean? Tartness, and it was so good. Good. Like I was blown away. I was like very happy about that. I was like, oh yeah, I'm eating some mango salad. I feel so cultured. This is dope. And then Josh brought me out to one of his friends, this guy, gentleman named Aaron, and Aaron's partner, I can only assume either girlfriend, fiance, wife, I'm not 100%, but her name was Millie. They were both incredible hosts. The idea that, like, Josh was, I hope that Josh asked beforehand, like, hey, can I bring my friend? Yeah. But, like, I assume he did, because that's Josh. He's super considerate. But I go into this apartment in like somewhere else in Queens, and Josh just said, like, hey, my buddy's throwing a little thing, and he's got a DJ coming, and he's making food. So I'm thinking, like, okay, like, whatever, he's making food, like, but it's also a party with a DJ, so I'm like not expecting what I ended up getting. So I sit down, I'm sitting next to Amy. Josh is making his rounds, saying hi to everybody, because that's who he is. And
Olive.
Sorry, Olive is licking her paw, and it just sounds really intense. I sit down. They hand us menus, like printed out pieces of paper with these beautiful little menus on it, and it had like a starter, and it was like assorted cheeses and like charcuterie board kind of thing, and you could make yourself a drink. Because I always feel like, I don't know, maybe I come from the mentality of, like, I'm used to more like BYOB kind of things where you bring your own, like you bring a 6-pack or whatever to a party. And so I always feel some sort of anxiety about like drinking other people's alcohol. So like I just was abstaining. And then the host, Aaron, came over after I had introduced myself to him. And he was like, hey man, you want a drink? And I was like, I mean, I guess I gotta have a drink. And he's like, go for it, man. He's like, when you're here, you're home, man. And I was just like,
it's nice.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
So then the options were, you could either have chicken and waffles or shrimp and grits. And it's very rare that I have shrimp and grits, so I chose that. And it was incredible. I had a sunny side egg on top of it. They came around, like Millie came around with like a notepad and was like, all right, and what will you be having? And it was just
cute.
like, oh my God, it was so cute.
Yeah.
And then a DJ was just blasting like 2000s rap music. Like it was just like Ja Rule and Jagged Edge and like all of these songs where I was just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very loud. So I was screaming the whole time trying to talk to Amy and just like have a conversation going. But other than that, it was really awesome. Did
you ever get that feeling that I often have in public places when like something is really loud? Like if I'm in an apartment complex where I'm like, I'm just waiting for someone to come over here and complain about how loud this is.
Oh, it crossed my mind.
Yeah.
It crossed my mind. It was 2 p.m. on a Saturday.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I imagine that there, some people are probably out doing things. Or maybe that's just the vibe. I don't know.
Interesting.
Maybe New York is slightly different. I don't know. It was interesting. But yeah, I mean, it was a great time.
Good.
The food was amazing. Aaron and Millie were incredible hosts. And then Josh and I went to Brooklyn. We had a beverage. We had a cigar. Josh is really into cigars. Man, I love Josh to death. And for his sake, I always try the cigar. Cigars are...
Josie!
Jojo. And we're back. All right. Wow. Okay. Well, that was fun. Oh boy. Okay. So, where was I? Yeah, cigars are not for me. I can't do it. I think it comes from like in college I smoked cigarettes and then I, smoked Black and Milds and then like what's it called? I smoked weed from high school through college to recently. And like the whole bag of those things is inhaling, and cigars you're specifically not supposed to inhale. So it feels like I'm trying to think of a good analogy. It just feels like doing something halfway.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's like winding up for a punch and then just not punching.
What are you supposed to do? Just hold it by your mouth?
You breathe it into your mouth. The smoke is in your mouth. Now, if it were weed, you would then do an extra inhale to bring the smoke down into your...
Why an extra inhale? Why not just one inhale?
Because you inhale to bring it into your mouth. Now the smoke is just in your mouth.
Okay.
But again, for weed, you want the smoke to be in your lungs.
Right.
Because that's how the THC...
Right.
transfers into your blood and actually affects you.
Okay.
That's why that one thing of Bill Clinton, I did not inhale. That's why that's a thing.
Okay.
Cigars, you keep the smoke only in your mouth.
Okay.
And then you blow it out.
What's
and
the point of that?
To me, that's very not unsatisfying.
Seems pointless.
It's how cigars work.
Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, that's just how that works. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's I try. I don't love the smell of some cigars. Like when you walk past somebody, I'd rather walk past a cigarette smoker than a cigar smoker if I had to choose between the two. Yeah. And then a vape smoker. I mean, you're just throwing out. I saw a comedian. He was talking about how every vape smoker looks like they're trying to hide it, and they're just like,
yeah.
And then it's like, do you forget that it's a huge cloud of Captain Crunch smoke that you're gonna billow out of your mouth? Anyway,
people used to smoke vapes in like the queue line at Test Track when I worked at Disney, and if we saw it or one person complained about a specific person who was smoking a vape, we had to go up to them and be like, okay. We know you have a vape. If I see or hear that you smoked it one more time in this line, you have to go. Because, like, there was, like, instances where it would, like, set off alarms.
Yeah. No, so, for sure. Like, it's like a super thick smoke.
And if I have to evacuate this building and this ride because you're smoking your vape in line, I'll kill you.
Yeah. 100%. I know. Evacuating rides. We do need to do maybe another episode on Disney. I do want to talk more about our experiences. But, yeah, suffice it to say we had a great time. Josh brought me out to this really nice Moroccan place. It was delicious. And then went back to his place and had a little nightcap. And then I went to bed and I had a great night's sleep, actually. Next day, Josh is a pastor, so we went to church. Met a lot of super nice people there, as you can imagine. And then went to a place in Astoria. I cannot remember the name of it to save my life, but I had an incredible muffaletta sandwich. Basically, every time I go to New York to visit Josh brings me on like little food tours. And him and Amy love to bring me around to just different food places. Amy's a little bit of a foodie like me. So her and I talked ad nauseum about different things. And I actually asked Josh and Amy an interesting question. I want to pose it to you.
Okay.
And also to our audience. So please, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, send us an email, hessianmaven@gmail.com, or hit us up on Instagram or TikTok or something like that, hessianmaven. Let us know your answers to this question. Ready? What is a food that you hate that you wish you loved?
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
My first thought was broccoli.
That seems like a responsible answer.
I hate broccoli. I hate the smell. I don't like looking at it. I don't like when it's on a plate. Like, I just hate it so much, but I wish I liked it because I feel like it's
Imagine loving broccoli.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy.
Another thing I thought of is just like fish. Like plain like salmon or tilapia or flounder or whatever.
That's why it's so interesting to me that you like sushi.
Yeah.
I think that to go from being like, I'm not a big seafood person or I don't really like seafood to sushi is a weird and interesting jump.
It's because like the time that I made tilapia.
I don't like seafood, but raw fish I will do.
The time that I made tilapia in my house, it just
haunts
was.
You.
I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. My coworker texted me. My whole house smelled so bad, like the stench of fish. And then I was eating it, and it didn't really taste that fishy, but the smell just like overtook everything and like influenced how I was tasting it.
Yeah.
And then sushi, I don't get like that strong fish smell.
No.
And there's so many other things going on. Like there's the rice, the seaweed, the avocado, the sauce, I love one of my favorite sushis from around here is actually from ShopRite, the grocery store down the street. They have a little sushi like counter, and they have spicy tuna rolls and spicy California rolls.
Yeah. And
they're so good. Like, it's just like this little thing, like bite-sized pieces that taste like a little bit spicy but like savory and not super strong of fish. Like a little, maybe like this much of fish.
Which is okay. Yeah.
When it's like too fishy, it's like I want to dry heave.
I feel that way too. And I think it's really interesting, especially talking to Josh and Amy about how we were brought up, like the food that we ate as children and grew up with, and how much of an influence that has on our palate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like Josh grew up eating a lot of Korean food. His palate is very, very different. Like, things that we would consider really fishy and interesting and like too much or whatever, totally normal for him because he grew up with that, or like even like specific textures. But yeah, I think that's really interesting. Okay, those are good answers. For me, I picked oysters, and I think it's because the same way that I kind like in my brain kind of put sushi on a pedestal as like a, here it comes, quote unquote, fancy food. I think of oysters the same way, like having one of those big trays with ice. And have you
tried oysters as an adult?
Yeah.
I don't think I have. I don't think I've had them since I was like 6 or 7, so I'd have to try them as an adult to see whether or not I like them or not. The only thing I remember trying in that same vein is mussels. You and I tried mussels, and it still, I think, was different because I know oysters is the one that you're supposed to just like kind of swallow. Or is that clams?
No. you're supposed to chew them.
What are the ones you just swallow?
You don't. You're thinking of oysters.
Okay.
But you're technically not supposed to. It looks like people are just like kicking it back and like taking it like a shot. But you are like, I've also watched specific chef shows where like a chef goes out to eat with their friends at another chef's restaurant and they order oysters and you for sure see them chew.
I think that
when I tried them, I just straight swallowed it because
Yeah.
I didn't want to chew into it because of the consistency, the look,
Yeah.
everything about it screamed boogers.
Yeah.
And I wanted
I
no
think
part
as a kid,
of it.
I just remember them being very salty, and I love anything that's salty.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, it has that brininess because it's like salt, but it's connected to the sea.
Yeah.
So it has like brininess, which I would be fine with, you know. And then there's also millions of different ways to prepare oysters. Even if you just keep it raw, like you can put hot sauce, you can do a mignonette, or all these different like little things that you can put on it. You can add like a baby little slice of jalapeno. I've seen it done a million ways.
Yeah.
I can't get over it. But I wish I could. The idea of going to a kind of a nice restaurant and being like, yeah, let's get half a dozen oysters. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
I love that idea. But I can't do it. I've even tried them. Sometimes my foray into certain types of seafood that I don't love is frying them. Just because I'm a white American and that seems normal. So it's like...
Yeah.
I used to not like shrimp, and then I tried popcorn shrimp, and I was like, I love shrimp. And then I slowly progressed into actually liking shrimp.
Yeah.
But that being said, I even tried fried oysters, like on a sandwich, like a po' boy. I bit into it. I like tolerated it because there were so many other textures going on.
Yeah.
And then I made the mistake of looking at a bitten into oyster, and it looked like goose shit.
Oh, gross.
Browns and whites and greens, and I was like, abso-fucking-lutely not.
Gross.
I'm so sorry to people who like oysters. I could not do it.
Yeah.
And then so Amy said blue cheese. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because she loves cheese and all that kind of stuff. She loves like trying different kinds of cheeses and this and that. She's like blue cheese and like related ones like gorgonzola or whatever. She was like, I'm not a huge fan of. And I was like, that's an interesting answer. That's really cool. And then Josh said uni.
What's that?
Sea urchin.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. He said he really does not like it. And then because Amy's a foodie, she was talking about how like uni is one of those things where like if you're going to get it, like spend the money. Like go above and beyond, because you're going to get the uni that's like very clean and awesome, and it's not super fishy. But if you get like bad uni, I was contemplating whether or not to say it.
Yeah, good job.
The YouTube people will know that one. Bad uni will taste very fishy.
I've heard that about almost every type of seafood.
Yeah.
If you get the good, expensive kind, it won't taste super fishy. If you get the cheap kind, it will be super fishy.
True.
And feel like I've tried... I don't know. I went to like a fancy place in Seattle once, and we got dim sum, and there was shrimp in it, and it tasted like a fucking dead fish.
Well, you just might not like
disgusting.
Fish. Or, like, that kind of fish or something like that.
It was shrimp.
Well, that's what I mean.
It tasted horrible.
You already said you don't like shrimp.
I know.
Yeah. Plus, like, dim sum is a different culture. They are going for... It might not be the shrimp itself. It might also be, like, the things that they add to it, like fish sauce. Or things like that, you know?
Fair.
Anyway, let's get into the con.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's get into Comic-Con.
Hard right turn.
We drove in. Yeah, hard right turn. We're talking about the con now. New York City Comic-Con. It was at the Javits Center, kind of located between Hell's Kitchen and Chelsea, give or take, on the west side of Manhattan. And that's just because I want to be the person who knows all of the little neighborhood names.
I know you do.
So I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, no one cares.
Yeah.
As soon as I told Josh and Amy, and I was just like, oh, it was at the Javits Center. And then I started to be like, yeah, kind of in between Health. And they were like, we know where the Javits Center is.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Never mind.
You can't do that to people who live in the city.
I know. Show off my neighborhood knowledge. Anyway. I just think some of them sound so fun, though.
I know.
Some of them sound so fun. Greenwich Village, Williamsburg, Alphabet City. Mm-hmm. That's fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's probably where Sesame Street is.
I will say a lot of the neighborhoods in New York do sound fun and like fancy, and it always
Gramercy.
like puts me in the mind of when I watch Sex and the City and she goes to different places. I could never live there.
Okay.
I could never live there. I think it takes a certain type of person to be able to live in New York City. It's an
100%.
interesting place to visit, and there's like little places you can find, like little hole-in-the-wall restaurants and events and bars and stuff that are gonna be like super awesome, I'm sure. But I'm a baby. I'm an absolute baby. Like when I go there, I feel like I'm 8 years old because there's like especially when you're walking around at night, like there's some just like people lingering, there's some sketchiness going around. You feel like one person's looking at you for too long, and you're like, this is the end of my life. I'm about to be on a Law and Order SVU episode, like, and I'm just a chicken.
Yeah.
So, and I hate walking. That's another thing. I am a big, if we can Uber, we're Ubering. If we can take a train, we're taking a train. If we can drive, we're driving.
Yeah.
I don't like walking, and I know that it's so much walking. Like, we parked at a parking garage that like was like a valet. Like, you pull in and they take your license plate and then they park for you, and then you go and you pay when you come back. And which was great because I didn't have to worry about the car. Like, I knew it was safe and it was not going to get towed or whatever.
It was really nice. It was definitely worth it.
But we had to walk like 2 blocks?
Like, yeah. It was really close.
And
from New York, it was really close.
And while we were walking there, I was like, I'm already mad that this is too far. Like, this is too far of a walk.
The fact that I couldn't park right outside the Javits Center. What the hell?
I guess I'm spoiled. I'm used to suburbia.
Our
like
neck of the woods, it's hard. Yeah,
where
it's
everywhere you need to go has a parking lot. Like, you just park and you take 2 steps and you're in wherever you need to be.
Yeah.
And I know people watching this who like live in the cities are like, 2 blocks, like that's nothing. Like, I know it's nothing. But for me, it was a lot.
Yeah. For sure.
And I'm a slow walker. And my legs chafe. So.
Oh, yeah. By the end of the night, I was also chafing.
Yeah. But.
Yeah. And I gold bonded up, too.
Yeah.
Prior to leaving.
I have a chafe stick called Mega Babe. Shout out Mega Babe. Sponsor our podcast.
Wow.
And yeah. But anyway, once we got there. And then we got there and we like walked towards the entrance. It was like in the park. It looked like a lot, like right in front of the building. They had all these tents set up and there were like a million people. It reminded me of if growing up you ever went to like Warped Tour, like when you go in, there's like a million different lines and there's people shouting like red people go here, blue people go here, like depending on your pass. And we walked up to a lady and we were looking for will call. And she was like, oh, you have to like go out to the street, go down another block. And I was like,
I'll kill you dead right
now. Another block.
You listen to me, you son of a bitch. You take my ticket.
But then it was confusing because we went down to where will call was. We entered the building, like got our passes, and then we could enter right there. Like we didn't have to go back to that first lady.
Tent area?
The tent area. So I don't really know what the tent area was for.
I know, because it was confusing too, because as we were walking towards where will call was,
right,
people were walking opposite of us who had their badges and here
who were going back to the tent area.
For the YouTube people, oh, watch out, that's gonna fall. Okay, for the YouTube people, this is what the badge kind of looked like.
It's like a little rectangle card that says Thursday, which was the day we went, and it's got a lanyard from Crunchyroll.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, but we didn't have to go back to that tent area. So I don't know what that tent area was for, if it was for like special passes or something, but we just entered right after will call.
Yeah.
And then I was stressed out because on the thing it says like you had to activate your pass. Like you had to go on this little link and activate it.
Lady ever.
Yeah, and then we ran into like a security lady who was going to scan our passes, and we were like, yeah, but we didn't activate. And she was like, I don't even want you to worry about all that. Like, don't worry about it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
So that was
She's like, here, I can scan that for you. Oh, we didn't activate it yet? Honey, let me scan it. I don't even want you to worry about all that.
Yeah. She was really nice.
Thank you so much. Also, did Josie fart or...
Yeah, because Olive just walked in the...
Oh, God. Her butt is in my general direction, too. Oh, Olive is now sniffing her butt. Get out of here, doggos.
It's a dog fest.
I love you guys so much.
Yeah, but then we entered, and it was very crowded. Like, very...
Oh, packed.
Again, like, Warped Tour crowded, to where you're, like, sneaking through people. Like, everywhere you turn, someone's cutting you off. Like...
It was also, like, incredibly overwhelming.
It was a lot.
It was like, okay, here's the thing. By the time we are there, we have our passes scanned. We're in the door, right? Mm-hmm. What time would you say that it was?
Probably like 11:30, 11:40.
Okay, so it's like 11:30.
Yeah.
We have the panel with the Critical Role staff, our cast. That starts at 7:30.
Yes.
It ends at 8:30.
Yes.
So that's how long we will be there. Mm-hmm. It is 11:30.
Yeah.
We have 8 hours until this thing starts. Mm-hmm. Granted, some of that we'll be waiting in line, and we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
But still, as somebody who's never go to Comic-Con, I'm still like, oh, I don't want to miss anything.
Right.
Right? It was very overwhelming. You're looking in all these different directions. It feels like you could go anywhere. It felt like we were in the smack dab in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, do we go all the way to the left and start there and kind of work our way back? But also, you know, there's also stuff way in the back. Do we go, like, do you zigzag through?
Yeah, the Javits Center was huge, and it was filled to the brim with
booths and stands
and vendors and
all kinds of stuff. People advertising new video games that are coming out, new board games that are coming out, people you know, selling comic books or trading with comic books, people doing their artwork, and you can buy their artwork. There's jewelry, there's fantasy themed teas and coffees and chocolates and this and snacks and all kinds of stuff. So many plushies and everything. It was incredibly overwhelming, but also it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And in the first, I don't know, 20 minutes, Raven buys a big old box.
Yeah, so I brought $200 cash to Comic-Con, and that was my spending limit, and I wanted to spend it. I was like, I want to buy so much shit here, because when am I going to go back to Comic-Con? Like, realistically, I don't know, maybe never.
No.
I was like, I want to buy stuff that will probably be exclusively here.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to go crazy. So, like, almost immediately we run across this booth that's mystery boxes.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big box
of different, like, IPs, like different not genres, but like different franchises.
Yeah, like they had Friends, they had Rick and Morty, they had Avatar: The Last Airbender, they had a Nickelodeon box, they had an 80s box, like the decade 80s. They had, I don't know, there was just a bunch of boxes. And I got an Avatar: The Last Airbender box.
And it was big. 10 inches on each side, a cube with a plastic handle on the top. No,
it was cumbersome.
Let me be clear, though. I'm not bagging you for buying stuff.
Yeah. Just very cumbersome
You bought something that was big and cumbersome in the first, like, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I get that at that time, because it was so soon after entering this very overwhelming maze of booths. You probably thought, if I don't get this now, what if they sell out?
No, do you know what I thought?
What?
Which is often my thought when I buy stuff the second I see it, is I have to buy this right now, because if I look at that and I say to myself, I'll get that when we're leaving, when we're walking out. What if we don't exit at that exact spot? Right. What if we're exiting like at the total other end of the convention hall?
That's fair.
And I think I really want that, but do I feel like walking all the way down there? Probably not. And then I wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like so impulsive. Like the second I see it, I'm like, well, I'm right here.
Yeah.
I have to have it now. I bought so much shit. We were walking around carrying all my shit, but I love all of it.
Yeah. I bought 2 things. Spent the majority of my money, which Raven's gifted me the first time I saw something that I was like, I will spend money on this. I had cash with me, and Raven gives me another surprise, a layered birthday surprise.
A surprise, if you will.
Beautiful little... A surprise?
Surprise.
What?
Like surprise? Surprise. I wrote surprise on the card.
Didn't notice.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it had $100 cash in it. It was amazing. It was very, very sweet. But yeah, I would have bought more stuff if I had ways of carrying it, or like was more experienced, or if I knew we weren't going to be there for as long as we were.
Yeah, we saw some people walking around with huge suitcases, and the first time you see that, you're kind of like, what is that weirdo doing? Why are they walking around with a suitcase? And then by the end of the night, you're like, God, next time we got to bring a suitcase.
Oh man, we learned so much. If we were to do this all over again, we wouldn't go for as long.
Yeah.
We would bring folding chairs because, all right, let's get into it. Let's talk about some pros. Let's do good things first.
Yeah.
Do you have any off the top of your head?
Merch. If you're a maximalist girly like me, where your room is just trinkets and tchotchkes and knickknacks.
Gizmos and gadgets, baby.
It's the bomb. It was like, if I would have brought $1,000 cash, I probably could have spent it.
Oh, like, for sure.
On just nothing but trinkets. And
there were so many cool things. And especially like what I liked about it is that, like, with the exception of, and they had a Studio Ghibli thing, and you rightfully said you were able to look things up, and it was mainly stuff that you could buy elsewhere.
Right.
It wasn't specific, but things that I really, really gravitated towards in terms of tchotchkes and merch were of the franchise, but it was this artist's personal twist on it. Okay. So, for example, I was able to buy a little tiny mini Pokeball where the top half is glass or plastic, probably, but it's see-through. Yeah. And then the inside of the Pokeball is like this beautiful little terrarium with a little Pokemon inside. Yeah. And I thought that was so cool. And it was so $15 for the little one. Yeah. And I bought that, and it was Primeape, which is one of my favorite Pokemon. I just think he's really cool. I love him in the cartoon, although Ash gives him up so quickly.
Yeah, he does.
He like catches a Mankey. Well, Mankey turns into Primeape. He catches Primeape, and then Primeape wins a tournament. And then he immediately gives them to this douchebag who has a Hitmonchan. Absolutely infuriating. Yeah. The Pokemon show needs to really reconcile that. And to be fair, I haven't watched the show in a very long time. I don't know if he eventually gets Primeape back. Yeah. I really hope he does. But anyway. And then we got those really cool Studio Ghibli things. Where it was like a painting of the character or a scene or something like that. Over a dictionary page. Yeah, exactly. Those were really creative and really, really cool. I got, what is his name?
Calcifer.
Calcifer from Howl's Moving Castle.
Yep. I know.
I love that little guy. Billy Crystal. So crazy.
Yeah. Those were really neat. We stopped at a like confectionery place, and they had chocolates,
chocolates and fudges,
and we got 2 different types of fudge, and I got a little box of their like featured chocolate truffle things that look like Kit Kats.
They look like
they're
Kit
different
Kats.
Flavors.
I wasn't expecting them to be have like a filling.
Yeah.
I thought it was just gonna be like straight chocolate.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. They were really cool too. They were also so sweet.
Yeah.
Like the people who worked there.
Oh yeah, they were so nice. They were so nice.
I really hated the fact that I had Invisalign at that moment. Too.
I know.
Because I like kept having to be like, no, it's okay. Yeah. Like they were like, do you want a sample? Like a free sample? And in my brain, I'm like, absolutely, I want a free sample. Yeah. But it's too early for me to take my teeth out.
I know.
Or take the trays out of my Invisalign. It's so annoying.
We also went to a little coffee place. They made like bags of coffee, like ground coffee. Yes.
And they were all like kind of fantasy themed.
Yeah. And that was cool. We got 3 different kinds. And then we stopped by a place that was called Tea and Absinthe.
Oh, and yes.
shout out to them. I'm sure they're a lovely company. I don't really drink tea that often, and when I do, it's just a tea bag. I don't have any fancy tea making, like, loose leaf tea stuff. But I went over there because I thought there would be, like, absinthe or, like, different fancy alcohols or whatever.
Yeah, same.
And she was like, oh, we're just a tea company. Like, they didn't sell absinthe. They sold, like, I think they sold, like, cups, but, like, no absinthe.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you call your company tea and absinthe and then not sell absinthe?
I know.
But there was another tea place that I thought was cool that was, like, Dungeons and Dragons themed called D&T.
Oh, yeah. They were very cool. I almost bought a tumbler from them.
Okay.
I was really considering it because they had those, tumblers, reusable tumblers.
Yeah.
And each one was a different class in D&D. So there was, warlock and wizard and barbarian and whatever. But I saw that they had a DM one for dungeon masters because often you get locked into that role because not many people want to DM because it's so much extra work.
Yeah.
And I identify with that. Although I'm very lucky in the group that I'm in, so I do get to be a player fairly regularly. Yeah. But anyway,
there was a booth called Moon Pals.
Oh, you gotta talk about Moon Pals.
I specifically hunted it down to find one. I saw a little thing about it on the Comic-Con has an app. I downloaded the app. It tells you like all the things that are happening that day, all the booths and stuff that are there. And I saw one for weighted plushes called Moon Pals. And I was like, okay, I've always wanted a weighted plush. Target had these ones that were like famous on TikTok for a while. And then every time I went, they were never there.
Target.
Which is what always happens when something from Target gets famous on TikTok. I go to find it and it's not there. And so we went there and they had first of all, they had a person dressed up in a giant person-sized Moon Pal costume.
Yeah, spherical.
Just a giant sphere with arms and
it was
huge sparkly eyes.
Big sparkly eyes and a very cute voice. It was just, oh, hi.
Yeah.
Hello. And just waving to kids and stuff like that. It's so
really cute.
But it was really funny, like, kind of breaking the fourth wall in a way where the giant mascot was kind of standing a little bit in front of the booth next to them. Yeah. And at one point, the owner of that booth kind of came over. And he was very polite about it. Yeah. He was like, hey, can you move your guy a little bit? He's kind of blocking some of my merchandise, blah, 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 blah. And the girl who you eventually bought the Moon Pal from is like, hey, Jared. Yeah. Jared. You gotta move this way, buddy. Jared. Yeah. Move this way. And I was just like, oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. Would have been really funny if he was like, Echo.
I know.
Like whatever.
The Moon Pals had names. My Moon Pal's name is Echo.
Yeah. They're coming out with like an animation and stuff like that. And I only know that because of the annoying girl behind me who apparently is a voice actor and was just giving me all kinds of secondhand embarrassment.
Oh, she was embarrassing.
The way that she was talking to one of the guys who, I guess, founded this company. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, she was embarrassing. Yeah, so all the Moon Pals have names, and they all have, like, little, like, blurbs. Like, the pink one's name is Milo, and the description says, bursting with brightness and strength, Milo is never afraid to do the right thing. Mother Moon granted Milo powerful moon fire energy for honesty and courage. Wow. Like, how cute is that? And then the one I have is the green one, and her name is Echo. Okay. And the little blurb says, Mother Moon entrusted noble Echo with the moon power of nature. Perceptive Echo knows we're all in this together and is filled with patience and compassion.
You got the nature one.
I know. The green one was really calling to me. Normally I pick anything that's pink. But the green one was really calling me, and I'll show for those who are watching
you gotta get over to the YouTube, gang. Get over to the YouTube to check out
Echo. This is my Echo. She is like a little green blob that has a moon and stars on her tummy, and she's got long, like, rabbit ears. Oh my god. She's got long rabbit ears and long legs and arms, and the legs and arms are what's weighted, so she's very heavy. And you can, like, drape her over your, like, shoulders, and she can stay there like a baby. And I just like to sit with her on my lap. I love her so much. And this is another thing that I purchased the second I saw it. And it was like,
also
she's like 4 or 5 pounds, I don't know. And we had to walk around with her. And it was in
a big box. Yeah. So that was something.
Yeah.
We had a lot of stuff.
Yeah. A lot of stuff. And then we found a booth where, right by the bathrooms, that had like a lot of cute, like Studio Ghibli, Sailor Moon, like stickers and earrings. And
Yep.
I put on my pop socket.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah. It's a pop socket for those who are watching.
Is that going to fit in your car thing now, though?
Probably. Yeah, because the car thing hooks around it like your 2 fingers.
Oh.
And it is a Kirby wearing cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, holding a lasso and a little cowboy gun. And it's got stars. And she's wearing, I think, a bandana. And she's so cute. And I put the sticker on the back of my laptop. You see it?
Oh, yeah. Call me never.
I got a sticker of a seductive Furby that says, call me never.
Yeah. For the YouTube people, you'll be able to see that because I'll do a little zoom in post. But
she's cute.
The audio people, listen, I love that you're here. I love that you're listening to the podcast.
Over to YouTube, though. It's
really, really appreciate it. We do have a YouTube, guys. Yeah. And it is funny.
Yeah.
It is funny. I do zoom-ins. I do cuts. I put a lot of work into that.
Mm-hmm.
Go check it out. Support us.
Yeah.
Give it a like. Subscribe. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That was a good sticker.
And then we did spend a good amount of money on food.
Although that guy who was running that.
Oh yeah, the guy.
You could tell he was a schmuck.
The guy at that booth, bless his soul, it was definitely his girlfriend's booth. And he talked about how, like, every time someone asked him a question, he was like, I have to call my girlfriend. And he was just there, like, I don't know where she was, but he was just there manning the booth. And he didn't know where anything was. Like, I asked him if they had the shirt in a 3XL. And because the shirts that they had, like, on display were, like, size small. And
yeah, they were, like, Hawaiian-style shirts, but very kawaii. Like,
yeah.
Very
Kirby, Furby.
Like, bright colors but also pastels. And it was just funny. I mean, it wasn't funny because at that point of the day my back was starting to hurt, my feet were hurting. I was just like, oh my god, my fingers are hurting from holding the item in a weird way, like but I had to keep switching hands, and then it was funny because I was holding it for a while and then you were like, you could just put that down for now, we're standing here, and I was like, oh duh. But yeah, you had asked for the Kirby one specifically. Mm-hmm. You were like, hey, do you have the Kirby shirt? Do you have the Kirby shirt in a 3XL? Mm-hmm. And he looked around and he was like, I think I only have a 2XL. And you were like, he was like, do you want to kind of see it and try it? And you were like, yeah, sure. And then hands her a Pikachu one.
Had to be a Pikachu shirt.
And Raven, bless her soul, is looking at me and just kind of whispering, just like, what do I do? Do I tell him that this is the wrong one? Like, how do I handle this? And I was like, well, you're not going to buy the Pikachu one, right? And she was like, no, I don't want the Pikachu one. I want the Kirby one. That's what I said. And I was like, okay. So then she kind of like hands it back and is like, so do you have the Kirby one now? and he dead ass, his response is, do you want that in 3XL or 2XL? Bitch, I asked for 3XL Kirby when I first started this goddamn conversation.
I know. And I tried to be helpful and said either. So, like, he wasn't stressed out about the 3XL. Like, if they had 2XL, like, that would have been fine probably. And he just didn't. He couldn't find anything. He was so flustered. And it was... And then a woman...
You also whispered to me, you were like, should I just tell him that it's fine?
Yeah, because he was looking forever. And I just was like, if you can't find it, it's fine. And then a girl dressed as... something from Animal Crossing completely cut me.
Yeah, Isabel from Animal Crossing cuts Raven and buys some stuff and also takes forever.
Yeah, because at one point you were like, what are you doing? Why are you just standing there? And I was like, it's because he's helping her. Like, they're having an interaction now. She completely came out of nowhere. It was
when you were sort of trying the Pikachu one. Which was wrong from the jump. It's not really the size that you want. And it's also a different shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was just a mess.
He was struggling. I felt for him, but I did get some cute stuff from that booth. I also got calcifer earrings, which I'm going to wear.
He also today. Like whispered when he spoke.
Oh, he was wearing a mask, and he was so quiet, which is just.
And you had to. I saw you like nodding your head, and then you would just be like, "Mm-hmm." I'm sorry. Say that again. Say that again in a voice I can understand.
It's just, I know that like wearing a mask is so important for like communal health reasons in big gatherings like that.
Of course.
But if you're going to wear a mask at somewhere that is inherently very loud, you have to speak up.
Yeah. Volume is huge. You have to speak up
because I can't hear you. I can barely hear you if you're talking at a regular volume. So you need to project.
Yeah, big
and
time.
he was just whispering, and it was a struggle. But I did get some cute stuff from their booth.
Yeah.
And let me think. What else did I get?
Also, let me cut in while you think. We did eventually get to go see this cool panel with the cast of. So Critical Role is a live play D&D game. So what that means is that like they play D&D at a table, and they stream it, and then also put it on YouTube for people to watch afterwards. And they've been doing that for 8 years now, give or take. And it's gotten really, really popular. So then they decided to make a cartoon because they're all voice actors. They've been in cartoons and video games and all kinds of stuff. If you're familiar with Dragon Ball Z, Laura Bailey plays young Gohan. If you're familiar with The Last of Us, the video game, Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey both have won awards for their time on those games. If you're familiar with like some of the Marvel, both cartoons and video games, Taliesin plays the Flash a lot. Matt Mercer plays a couple characters. What's it called? Travis Willingham normally plays Thor. So their work is extensive. They do a lot of like anime dubbing and so much stuff. So watching them play a game that is one of the biggest facets of it is role play. It's incredible to watch. It kind of is like the pinnacle of what D&D could be, in my opinion. Obviously, every table is different. Everybody's style of how they want to play D&D is different, and I respect that. But I like the way that they play. That being said, they got really popular. They wanted to make a cartoon. They started a Kickstarter. Their goal was to raise $750,000 so that they can make a pilot and then show the pilot to different studios and then get picked up. In about, I want to say somewhere between 5 to 7 days, they raised $11 million.
Wow.
So they were able to pay for their entire first season by themselves, which means they don't have to go through studios. They don't have to, like, you know what I mean? Like, the studio doesn't have the opportunity to be like, actually, can you do it like this?
Yeah.
Or, no, we're going to change that. Like, no, it's they're making the show the way they want to make the show. Mm-hmm. And they got this animation studio called Titmouse, which is a silly little fun name. Mm-hmm. But it's incredible. It's kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's like Western anime. Mm-hmm. So there are like certain nods to anime in it, like little zoom ins and interesting stuff. But then it also has like kind of almost a Disney quality to it also, in terms of cartoon. Mm-hmm. But it's amazing. It was incredible. They got a lot of big name actors to play some of the side characters, and then each of the voice actors played their own D&D character. Mm-hmm. Because this is all revolving around like the first campaign of Critical Role.
Right.
And it's going through that story that I watched on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So like I kind of, spoilers, I kind of know what's happening.
Yeah.
But like when I'm watching it on YouTube, I'm watching a group of people play D&D, and it's all like up here. Mm-hmm. So Matt Mercer says like, okay, and then the dragon does this, and he destroys the Capitol, and blah, 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 blah. And you see this person die and this, and you're just picturing it up here as you're watching adults just play a game. Mm-hmm. Seeing it come to life via this animation, I almost cried at every episode. Yeah. And I'm like a big Critical Role fan, so like it hits me different. Mm-hmm. But it is a cartoon and a show that I recommend to everybody. If you like D&D, I think you should try Critical Role. I know that it's not for everybody because it is heavy on the role play. Mm-hmm. But the cartoon, I think, is it's beautiful. It's incredible. There are funny moments. There are dark moments. Like, there's violence and fighting, just like a normal D&D game sometimes. But I think it is incredible the way that they've condensed so many episodes of the show into, I think there are 12 episodes, like 12 25-minute long episodes. It's beautiful. They did an incredible job.
Yeah.
Kind of like transferring it over. But anyway, the panel was technically about the second season of that cartoon, which as excited as I am, because I really am, coming out January 2023, I really can't wait for it. But in reality, I was there just because of Critical Role. Like, I just wanted to meet the cast, not meet the cast specific. Like, I wasn't actually meeting. I just wanted to see them. Yeah. I thought that would be really, really cool. And it was cool. It was awesome to see them. It was with the entire auditorium, or whatever, and them. We all sang the theme song together, and
that was pretty good.
It was really powerful. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, I don't watch Critical Role or The Legend of Vox Machina. And D&D is like not really my thing. It's more his thing. But the one guy, Matt, like started crying at one point during the thing, and like I also cried. When other people cry, it always makes me cry, like no matter what.
It was very sweet.
And he just like got emotional, and I was like, oh my god, like it was just emotional.
It was so cute.
Yeah.
They had asked them like what it's like to go back into these old characters.
Oh yeah, because they play new characters now on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, on the YouTube channel. Yeah, on the YouTube or Twitch or however you watch them. They are now on the third campaign, and the cartoon is referencing the first campaign.
Right.
So they're now on their third characters. Yeah. And each of these, like, if you want to call them seasons or series or whatever, is about 3 years long.
Yeah.
Like, that's how, you know what I mean? Most people don't play D&D that long. Or they don't have the opportunity to, just because schedules change. And time gets in the way. But obviously, if you're doing this as like a business, it's a little different. But yeah, the question was like, what is it like for you to go back to these old characters and stuff like that? And Matt Mercer started talking and crying because he was referencing that, like, these characters are what brought them all together.
Right.
Like, it's really funny. I obviously, being a Critical Role fan, I know the whole story. Like, they started playing D&D because Liam, it was his birthday. So he hit up Matt Mercer, who he was friends with, and he was like, I haven't played D&D since I was like a kid. Like, I want to play D&D. Will you run a game? And Matt Mercer was like, hell yeah, I'll run a game. And they ran a game with pretty much everyone who's on the cast. And they had so much fun that they kept doing it. They played privately in their houses for like 2 or 3 years. And then they were approached by Felicia Day, who is, if you're not familiar, a big internet person, but also she plays Charlie on Supernatural. For some reason, that's like the one big reference point I have of her. But anyway, she had her own internet channel, like a YouTube channel called Geek and Sundry. And she approached them because she was friends with them. And she was like, you guys should absolutely put this online. Like, you guys are professional voice actors who are playing D&D. You should absolutely put this online. And they were like, I don't think anyone's going to watch this, blah, blah, whatever. And look at them now. Insane. They have their own company. They've separated from Geek and Sundry. They have their own Critical Role company. They do other shows in addition to just the D&D show. They have merch that is incredible. Their merch is really, really good. Yeah, and they have a cartoon now on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime, The Legend of Vox Machina. I highly, highly recommend. If you watch the first 3 episodes, which is about an hour of your time, and you're not, like, interested to keep going, then, okay, you try.
Yeah.
But that's my recommendation to people. Watch the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
If after that you're not, like, genuinely, like, on the edge of your seat, like, okay, what the fuck happens next?
Yeah.
Then... okay.
And I just want to say, like, it was... Sorry, that's Olive. She just makes a lot of noises. It was cool, really cool to be a part of, like, a large gathering where everyone is there because of one vested interest. Like, that I think is a really cool feeling. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like anytime you go to like a concert or something of someone you really like and everyone is singing the lyrics to one song.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like a cool like unity vibe.
Yeah.
However,
Yes. Humst.
There are sometimes when it comes to like nerdy stuff, like I'm a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, huge fan of BuzzFeed Unsolved, which is now Watcher. Like, you know, there's like little nerdy things.
Yeah.
There are people who are also fans who, like, you see them in public and you see the way they behave and you see the way they choose to be a fan of this thing.
Yes.
And you go,
you're doing too much.
Oh, no. And you kind of want to do one of these, like, I can't see them. They're not in this fandom. Yeah, like, please.
Oh, totally agree.
Please stop. Like, you're just, the cringe is, and I try not to hate on anyone for being a fan of anything nerdy. Like, I love when people are passionate about things. Like, please be passionate about your interests. That being said,
it's one of those things you can't really describe. Like,
it's very hard to describe.
You can't like sit here and be like, here are the things that make me feel cringy watching you, but I know it when I see it.
Yes.
And I totally agree with you, because that's how I felt too. Because I'm like a big Critical Role fan. I know all the facts and everything. I'm in it, baby. There were people around us that I was like, okay, sit down.
Like, please,
calm down a little bit.
Relax.
And that's why I want to get into some cons. We don't have a ton of time left. It is 11:18
I do have to cut a little bit short because I need to eat for work.
No big deal. So we'll go through the cons really quickly. BO. So
much BO.
And it really led itself into the stereotype of nerds and geeks and that type. Gamers and anime fans and stuff like that. It really led into that stereotype of just, you guys just smell bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're nose deaf or what, or you don't smell yourself or what your deal is. Man, we walked through certain areas, and like, there were the areas that you would think that there would be BO. We walked through a comic book section that was like, all the booths were comic books. It was like walking through the pit of stench. What is it in the labyrinth? All right. I
think my dog got stuck in the closet. Come here. Come on.
There's a paper bag blocking her.
Sneaker in her way.
Oh my gosh.
The Bog of Eternal Stench.
The Bog of Eternal Stench from
That's
the labyrinth.
What it was.
That's what it was.
It hit you in waves.
Yeah.
Like,
because not everyone stunk.
No, we would be in the back of the convention hall, and you'd walk past like the the buns.
Oh yeah, we got Mao Bao buns. Yeah,
and you'd get like a wave of like delicious smelling food, and you'd be like, oh, it smells so good. And then you walk past a comic booth like immediately after, and it's like, BO.
Blech.
Yeah,
onions.
And you sent me, I think, a TikTok.
This person used an onion as a deodorant stick.
A guy,
what the hell,
holding up a sign that said, "If you can afford the con, you can afford deodorant," which is so true.
Hilarious.
Like.
And he was dressed up as a Call of Duty character, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
That
was a big con. The other one is there is virtually no seating.
There's a very small downstairs. There was a section that was kind of like a food court vibe.
Yeah.
Like where we got Starbucks at one point.
Yeah.
No shame. And they had a little bit of seating.
Yeah.
But guess what? Good luck.
Yeah, it's like people plant themselves there. Yeah.
And like, you could see a bunch of hawks like just walking around with their trays of food, lingering. So there was zero seating. We actually got kicked out of one place because
we sat in front of like an exit door.
So stupid. We weren't even in front of it though.
No,
like, I wasn't seating. You sat down,
blocking anything.
And I was like, we weren't blocking anything. And this lady was very rude. And at that point, I was already starting to like get a little irritable because of just like being sweaty and like whatever. And so like I started to clap back because I was like, all right, calm down.
Yeah,
like,
because she didn't only ask us to leave. She asked us to leave, and then while we were like gathering our stuff to get up, she asked us to leave again.
Yeah.
And we were like, I heard you. Like, I have like so much shit. Like, I'm in the process of getting
Your mouth. I was so mad.
Yeah. So that's another con.
We saw a bunch
Big
of people with like folding chairs or like
they had like
folding stools.
Yeah, like things that could collapse and they like wore on their backs or like in a backpack, and then they pulled it out and it like unfolded into this little stool you could sit on. Really smart.
Yeah, that shit was genius. I was like, man, didn't know that there would be zero seating.
Yeah, no, I thought there would be way more seats.
So like there's like huge chunks of the day where Raven and I were seated on a floor, like the fourth floor of the building.
Yeah, we had to go upstairs too.
There was just like a random carpeted area that was just like this, I don't know, jetty.
Yeah.
And we would just sit down. And being 31 years old, it really made me notice my age and my like the fact that I need to really start getting into shape and working out and maybe stretching more often, maybe getting into yoga, because like sitting on a flat ground, like with my legs out and I'm just like sitting with my back up against a wall, my lower back was like, you can't do this.
Yeah.
So then I started laying down on my back. Like it was just, it was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that sucked. The other thing I really want to touch on is, our experience at the panel. Mm-hmm. Now, this is no fault of the cast of Legend of Vox Machina. No. Please still go watch that show.
Yeah.
But the people who put on these events were knuckleheads.
Yeah, it was very disorganized.
Nicely. So we got a reservation, which means that we get to enter the auditorium, the stage with all the seats before other people.
Yeah.
We go up pretty early. Like the event starts. The event starts at 7:30. We go up at around 5. Go to the bathroom, and then luckily Raven asked some people while I was in the bathroom. Raven asked some people like, "What is this the line for?" And they were like, "Yeah." So then there's only like.
There was maybe like 30 people in front of us.
30 people ahead of us.
Yeah.
So we're really close to the front of the line.
Yeah.
Now, a little annoying was the fact that, again, you have to either sit on the floor or just stay standing forever. And once we get into the next part, there's like, we go into one room and it's just a giant queue. Yeah,
like if you've ever been to a theme park, like the queues, if you're on YouTube, you can watch me do this, but it's like you go all the way down and then a little turn, all the way down, then a little turn, all the way down, then a little turn. Like a big zigzag. Zigzag, yeah. It was like that. It was just like a massive queue.
Yeah. So we're in that line. Now, number one, that annoyed me. Everyone around us sat down on the ground, but they did so in such a way that Raven and I didn't have room to sit down.
They sat down and then spread out.
Yes.
So we had to stand.
Fucking rude.
Yeah.
Because Raven and I were standing for 2.5 hours waiting for this fucking event. Yeah. They are all sitting down, and it's like, you fucking be more. This is a huge pet peeve of mine. Be more spatially aware.
Yeah.
I need you to be aware of your surroundings and have some common fucking decency, okay? You can tell that we can't sit. There's no way that we are going to be able to sit. You guys are all sitting and splayed out, like Raven said, spreading out, because you also have all your merch and all the shit that you've been buying or whatever. Then the stupid people who put this event on, they have a box. It's it's a cube, 6 inches on each side, just to give you a reference point. And it is full of stickers and pins of all of the Vox Machina characters. They, instead of them being the ones to dictate how they get handed out everything, they just give the box to the front of the line and tell them to pass it down.
Huge mistake.
I've never been more disappointed in a fandom that I am a part of. That's not true, actually, because like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and there's a lot of fandoms that I consider myself a part of, and they're just like, there are those really toxic dark sides of them that are like just 100% racist or misogynistic, where they're like, a black elf. That can't happen.
Yeah, this was
Shut the fuck up.
This was more just being inconsiderate.
This is being inconsiderate, being selfish.
Yeah.
That box took an hour just to get to me and Raven.
Yeah.
Because every freaking fan before us had to go through the entire box to make sure that they got every pin and every sticker of those characters, of which there are like 7, I think, like 7 characters. So that means they're rifling through this thing. Granted, or keep in mind that we're like we said, there's only 30 people ahead of us, and we're like 2/5 down of the first line of the queue.
Yeah. It was probably 10 lines.
10 lines jam-packed with people.
Yeah.
That box took an hour to get to us.
Yeah. And by the time they let us into the auditorium, the box had only made it to the second row of like
halfway through the second row.
Yeah.
And then the people who were super fucking selfish, making sure that they have every pin. Also, we're almost all of us there are adults. I don't care if you're 21 or 31, you're an adult. Why the fuck do you need stickers of all the characters? Like your life depends on it. You can see my laptop. I got 1 sticker, and the girl next to us, for some reason, gave me a bunch of pins. I think it's because as me and Raven are watching this box come down, I'm kind of just out loud being like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I'm just going to grab 1 pin and 1 sticker. I'm going to pass the box along. This is insane that this is happening. It's never going to reach the end of the line. This is so dumb. This is so rude and inconsiderate and selfish. So she took it upon herself to give me a bunch of pins. But then they start doing this thing where all the people who were incredibly selfish and they needed every pin and every sticker. Once we realize that we're about to start walking in, they start grabbing handfuls of pins and stickers and just chucking them into the air at people further back in line.
Yeah, because the other 8 rows of people didn't get the box.
No, they got nothing.
So they start just throwing handfuls of pins and stickers. And
just yelling. And it was cringy. It was weird so cringy, and just not good. And then finally a security guard came over and was like, hey, you can't throw pins. Yeah. Like, you're going to hit somebody in the face or the eyeball. Like, get out of here. Yeah. It was just very embarrassing. It was just like, God dang, you guys suck. Yeah. So that really pissed me off.
And then when they let us into the auditorium, what should have happened, how it should have been done was, because we were in queue lines and there were 10 lines of the queue, we should have been let in row by row by row. That way the people because they said it was first come, first serve. So the people who were in line first get the closest seats to the stage. It should have been like however far back in line you were, that's however far back in the auditorium you were. Yes. What they did was open the door, we walked in, and one guy was just like, okay, find a seat, everyone just go, figure it out. So people that were behind us in line sprinted to the front and ended up getting like better seats than we had. Oh yeah. Which was really aggravating because we waited longer and we're not sprinters, so we weren't sprinting.
No, we were speed walking.
We sped walked, and it just was annoying. And then the other annoying thing was, like, before the panel even started, or like right when it was about to start.
When they moved up.
Yeah, right when it was about to start, there were empty seats in front of us that like didn't get filled because there were signs
because
that said
they had 8 rows of seats right up next to the stage in the very front that were like ultra reserved.
Yeah, there was a sign that said like studio seating reserved only.
Yeah, like so there were seats really, really close that nobody could sit in except for a couple of people. Yeah. And then there was like a walkway, so like a gap, and then seats. And we were in like maybe the 4th row of those second section of seats. And we because we were there a little early, we kind of get decent seats, like pretty good seats. And we make sure that we're in the middle section and everything like that. And it was really funny because as soon as we enter into that line, Raven does this thing where she looks at a guy who's wearing a denim vest and then looks back at me and just whispers so quietly, B.O. B.O. And I'm looking around, and as Raven and I are having this like telepathic conversation of like, you're right, he stinks, what are we gonna? I'm looking around and seats are filling up so fast, and I see people fucking holding seats for people, which is I want to fist fight them.
Yeah.
Again, selfish. So I was like, it's too late. It's too late. We have to sit here.
Yeah,
so I let her kind of get more on the inside. I'll sit closer to B.O. Boy and we'll deal with it. Then, like Raven says, so you have all these empty seats in this like ultra reserved section. The guy, the MC or whatever, this Australian idiot who's running the show beforehand, just goes, hey, we're not going to be able to fill these seats, so just feel free to just move up and fill them up.
And then
are you fucking kidding me?
Stampeded the front of, and I was like, "Do you want to move up?" Because like people were going, so I was like, "Let's go." But then it was like, I didn't want to be the person who gets up, moves forward, only to look around and have there be no available seats.
Yeah, and then we lose our seats.
And then we lost our seats. Like I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah. Plus, Raven and I are kind of like in the middle of a row.
Yeah.
So we would have to either climb over seats, or we would have to like rush out, rush down. And it was just like pretty much people who were at the edge of rows, they took advantage of that. So now people who just got there now have seats
ahead of us.
Way ahead of us.
It was just done very poorly.
Yeah, it was so dumb.
Yeah.
And that was really frustrating. And then the raffle thing was a fucking joke too, because it was like he pulled 5 raffle tickets. Keep in mind there's probably like 400 people there, would you say? How many? I mean, 400, 500 people there probably.
500 people.
He pulled 5 raffle tickets and they were all pretty much the same number.
Within 20, 30 numbers of each other.
Yeah, it was
annoying.
another blunder of the people who put the event on.
Yeah.
But that being said, they all looked great.
Yeah.
Laura,
it was still an
Ashley,
enjoyable
and
experience.
Marisha, beautiful as ever.
Yeah.
I love them so much. I have such a crush on Laura Bailey. It's unreal. But she is super happily married to a gigantic man named Travis Willingham, who I will never challenge.
Oh,
and
the guy on stage?
The one who was doing a lot of the talking,
Yeah.
Travis, because he's actually the CEO of their company.
Oh, I didn't know they were together. I thought the only couple was
Marisha and Matt. No, Matt and Marisha are a couple. And then Travis and Laura are married and they have a kid.
Oh, okay.
They're actually, it's really interesting. For the first time, they're actually working on a project together. They're playing Lois Lane and Superman.
Oh, cute.
In a new like cartoon animation that's coming out. Cute. That's all about Superboy, like their son, and then like Robin. It's called something like the Battle of the Super Kids or something like that.
Cute.
But yeah, it looks really cute. And it's funny because I know them, I watched like a clip of it and I was it was like I can like just hear their voices and I was like, God, it's them.
Yeah.
And they're like married. Obviously Lois Lane and Superman are married, so it's just like, oh, so cute.
Yeah.
And they have a kid in real life, so it's just like, oh my God, who better to play these roles?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, fucking Chris Pratt ruining Mario.
Oh, man.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I heard that was rough.
Did you watch the trailer yet? It's so bad. It's just his voice, and it's exactly what everyone was scared of the minute that they announced that it was Chris Pratt being Mario. And for the record, I say Mario, and you can suck it.
Yeah, I think it's New Jersey. We say Mario. I don't really know why. But yeah, so while there were, like, some cons that were annoying and, like, some things we would do differently if we ever went again, I still think it was, like, an enjoyable experience, and I'm glad to now say that we have been.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. I would do it again, but I would do it so differently. Yeah. I would
if you go for that long, there has to be more than just one panel that you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. 1,000,000%. There needs to be way more stuff that you're doing. And panels that you're fine with sitting at the back. Yeah. You know? Because even where we were sitting, which was decent seats, like I said, I was watching the Jumbotron thing most of the time. Yeah. Because they were still pretty small. Yeah. But it is what it is. It was still a great time. Overall, I'm going to give it out of 10 a 6.9.
I gave it a 7. So I feel that.
Yeah. I gave it a 6.9 because I was a 7, knocked it down to a 6.9 because of how irate I got at the people being selfish about the pins and stickers.
I know.
That really bothered me.
Yeah.
Really bothered me.
Annoying. So, hey.
And it was everybody except us. I'm a huge Critical Role fan. Would I have liked a sticker of every character? Sure, I guess. Yeah. The pins of every character? I guess. I'm also like a grown-ass adult. Like, where the fuck am I going to put all these pins?
Yeah.
I have a denim jacket. It has some pins. But at a certain point, it becomes tacky if you have too many pins. Like, what am I, working at TGI Fridays? And they're on my suspenders? Get the fuck out of here.
I know.
Anyway.
And really quickly, before I go, I want to say that I apologize for the last video or videos where you hear a lot of, like, clonking of, like, me putting my glass down on the table.
Oh, it was me too. My beer bottle. And
in future videos / podcasts where I have a drink, I will bring a coaster and I will be more mindful of that. So I hope it wasn't too annoying.
Yeah, no, it was only annoying to me who had to edit out most of it. So,
but
sometimes I couldn't.
I have to eat baked ziti.
Okay, absolutely. So Raven's signing off. So listen, thank you guys for listening to another episode. You got to do the. Okay, that's when we do our little surfs up. Thank you to Die Young for the intro and outro song. Remember, we have an email address, hessieandmaven@gmail.com. We have an Instagram, a TikTok, a YouTube, all under Hessie and Maven, one word. So definitely go check that stuff out. We post clips on our TikTok and our Instagram. We also do other stuff on our TikTok and other funny little things. We'll answer questions or whatever. Try and hit up some trends maybe. I don't know. We're trying to get into it. I'm just learning how to really use TikTok, to be fair. But anyway, and then, you know, as always, send us your ideas. Send us your comments and, like, your stories when we talk about something. Like, what's a food that you hate but you actually love? Or you want to love, excuse me. Or, you know, what's your Comic-Con thing like? You know, Halloween's coming up. What are you being for Halloween? Like, let's talk about that.
Episode, we'll talk a lot about Halloween.
We're going to talk a lot about Halloween. We might even do costumes. I don't know when the next episode's coming out. Maybe the next episode or the episode after that. But we'll figure it out. Again, thank you guys for everything. We really appreciate it. Let's keep this train going. And tune in next week where we talk about something else.
Bye.
Bye.